Good morning, Dan. It is Thursday, May the 9th. It's actually Galen's death anniversary. And I don't know if you knew that. And we'll probably go up. I usually bring, I brought a pot of flowers up. Like, not like flowers that are going to die soon, but, potted plant flowers that should be blooming all spring into summer as long as I keep them watered. Brought those up a couple days ago and cleaned the gravestone up, and Beth and I will, I'm sure, go up this afternoon after work. So sorry about that. Presumptuousness. Let me that window a little more. Actually, get that cat in. Presumptuousness in your video. I should have listened more closely and not just assumed you were talking about your van being trashed, which you were not. You were trashed, which I can very well imagine that first day back, as always. A bit of a physical transition to, especially, it's like us traveling from Estonia. I mean, it's 8 hours time difference, right, from Wales to the West Coast. Yeah, I can imagine. So, but I'm glad you're better now, even if you're still getting up early. So, I'm bringing this video to you today from wearing my vintage hat, this thing I've had for a really long time. It's wool, and it almost doesn't look like it's even has much wear to it. That's the great thing about a wool hat. And the K is Kalamazoo Country Club. I think my grandmother actually sent this hat to me, these many years ago. And I wore it last night for golf leagues. This was the first week of golf league. We did not end up, it's not the word I wanted. We did not end up getting put into the same group. So there's two sections, and we did not end up in the same group as Lucas and Dave, which is too bad. But we did go out early, and because on Wednesdays we can play as much as we want before league starts at 5:30. So we went out and played maybe 12, 14 holes maybe. And one thing that Mike and I do is, there's no reason not to hit extra balls, to hit extra putts, to play around with putting from various parts of the greens, especially on the 9 holes, because we only play 9 holes. On the 9 holes that we know we're going to be playing that week. So we did that. And league was interesting because we were playing a team that had an 8 handicap, which is, which means they must have shot like we have a 4 handicap. They must have shot like a 44, pretty much bogeying every hole during the qualifying round. And, or parring some and then double bogeying others. So we knew we were going to have to get them strokes. And Mike's and my goal is typically to at least par every hole. That's our goal. And birdies are hard to come by. We find the greens at Trempolo, they don't hold your approaches very well, so you have to hit short and let the ball roll up. Much like the British Open, the last time I played there. So we started off on the first hole, decent drive. Second shot was okay, but still we were only an 8 iron out from the green, this par 5. So I hit my approach, and it ended up a touch long left, but puttable. So we were on the first cut. But the green is very large, and we were very far on the left-hand side. The pin was on the right-hand side. It also has a big turtle back and then dives down. The team we were playing, it was a father and a son, and the son is 25, hugely muscular, and can really hit the ball, but you don't know where it's going to go necessarily. But his drive was decent, but their second and third shots were tough. And then their fourth shot, they had to pitch over the green, and they ended up like above the hole by 15 feet. So we putted first. We were sitting 3, they're sitting 4. And I hit this shot that I hit this putt. I just hammered it. I mean, it went beyond the hole, almost off the green. And Mike's, unfortunately, was not much better. He was about 10 feet below the hole. So we're lying 4. They're lying 4, 15 feet above the hole. And they make their putt. I couldn't believe it. And for the par, and we miss ours for the bogey, for a hole that we felt like we were going to win after the second shot. We ended up losing it, which is typical match play. So the next hole is a par 3. It's a 2-tiered green, and the pin's in the front on the bottom tier. And the young guy, Phil was his name, hit the ball, hit his, and it hits the middle of the hill, kind of rolls back down a little bit, but still, they're 25 feet from the pin. And I hit a good 7-iron. It hits the hill, rolls back a little bit, and we are maybe 15 feet, 20 feet from the pin. So we get down there, and Marty, who's the dad, hits this putt and birdies it from 25 feet, side hill, lie, downhill, and it's just like, oh my gosh. And we barely miss we actually make a good run at it, but we miss. Now we're 2 down. They get a stroke because they have a higher handicap. They got a stroke, and I'm not sure quite how Chad, the league administrator, figures it out, but he's got some method. They get a stroke on the 3rd hole and the 5th hole, which are the 2 hardest holes on that front 9. And it's like, okay, we're 2 down, and they get a stroke on 3 and 5. It's like, oh my gosh. So we, on the 3rd hole, good drive, good approach. We end up 2-putting for a par. And they have issues, and they end up double bogeying, which is good, because had they bogeyed, because they got a stroke, because we got a par, we would have halved the hole, but as was, we won it. So, okay, now we're 1 down. Next hole, par 3, long par 3. I hit my shot just a couple of feet, maybe 5 feet off the green, and they do the same thing. And Mike chips really well to within like 3 feet. And then they end up chipping 25 feet past the hole. And we make our putt. They miss their putt. Now we're even. We're all square. Then the 5th hole, they get a stroke on that one. Mike hits. We both hit good drives. We took Mike's. We both hit our approaches. They bounce off the green and over. Mine was a little closer. My chip was not so great. Mike's was much better, to like a foot or 2 feet. Interesting thing about these guys is no matter how close we were, we could have been 18 inches, 12 inches away after a putt. They never conceded a putt, which is very common to say, you know what, that's good. You don't need to putt from 12 inches away. You know, we're going to give you that putt. Yeah, it still counts as a stroke, but they never did that. I don't think they actually thought about it. It wasn't gamesmanship. So anyway, they again had problems on 5. They hit their approach way over. They both chunked their chips, and then their next chips were beyond the hole by 20 feet or something, and they missed the putt and double bogey, and we parred. Next hole, another par four. They almost birdied it. We almost did not birdie it, but we both parred it. The next hole, they were in a lot of trouble off the tee. Again, Phil just hit this crazy long drive, but crazy left. He chunked his approach, but his dad hit it to 10 feet. We thought for sure they were going to birdie. They did not. We both parred it. Next hole is a par four, but it's a short, but it's the green is wicked. I mean, it's a wicked green, very shallow. It's not there's not a lot of room between the front and the back, and it's rambling, and it's long left to right and short, front to back. I had a really good drive, but a little bit right. We had some tree limbs in our way, so we had to punch it out. We got out of the green, but we had these long putts, over this undulating green, and they were off left. Mike hits his, my putt was terrible. Mike hits his putt to about 10 feet. Not bad, maybe 8 feet. And Phil, the son, hits his chip way beyond the hole. And then Dad chips, and the ball was literally overhanging the hole. I mean, we thought it should have been a birdie. So they ended up parring it, and we both missed our putts for a bogey. Now we're all square going into the ninth hole. I hit one of my best drives of the day. They hit way left, and then they hit this, Phil hits this approach that was way right, and we're just a foot off of the green, maybe 20 feet away from the hole, line two. And then they hit this approach to 10 feet. I can't believe it from where they were. They both missed the putt. Our first putt, I was long, Mike was short by 6 feet. So they are now in and 5. And I ended up making the 6-foot putt to win the hole, to win the match. We won at 1 up. So it was exciting. So you get points for showing up. It's like, I don't know, kindergarten, you get points for being there. And then you get points for beating your average, which we did because our average is a 40 and we shot a 37. And then you get points for if you win the match, which we did. So we got all the maximum points yesterday. It was tense. It was a tense, tight match. And I think Mike and I put way more pressure on ourselves than we should. Lucas and Dave, they're gamers. They love to win. They play hard, but they just, they don't seem to be nearly as uptight as we are. Maybe they are. They just don't show it. Speaking of tense and uptight, I don't know if you watched the Champions League match yesterday between Bayern München and Real Madrid. But Bayern, this is the second leg, and they had it was 2-2 after the first leg. And I tell you, Vinicius Jr., he's fast. He's really good for Real Madrid. But anyway, München went up like in the 67th minute or something. And then Real Madrid, they blame Neuer, the keeper, for having fumbled, this hard shot that came into him. But honestly, it was not an easy shot. Vinicius Jr., it was a wicked one-hop shot that was one of those that's easy to misjudge how much it was going to hop. And it bounced back out, and a Real Madrid guy pounced on it and put it in the back of the net to even the match up. And then they scored 3 minutes later. They thought it was offsides. Bayern Munich thought it was offsides, but VAR confirmed it wasn't. And then, of course, you end up with the next issue of Bayern München thinks they tied the match up, but the linesman had raised his flag, and the Real Madrid player stopped and they end up scoring, but they said, the referee said no, it wasn't. It was offsides. The linesman indicated offside, but VAR showed that it maybe wasn't offsides, but maybe was. This is all in the news, so anyway, it's one of those where, we've talked about this a lot. It comes down to inches. It comes down to which frame do they stop, where they kick the ball, and but Bayern was really upset because it didn't even go to VAR because the flag, linesman had raised his flag, and it's just like, what's the point of even having linesmen anymore? Because it's all going to go to VAR, or it seems like it almost all goes to VAR, except in this particular case. So why are they even out there? It just seems, maybe they're out there for the obvious ones, but even then, there's times when the linesman doesn't raise his flag initially, but then raises it late. And it's like, I don't understand that either. So anyway, I guess that's a long video already. This is, so it's a good morning to you. And hope you are getting your Pendleton legs back under you. I will talk to you soon. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.